today's episode, we are celebrating the launch of a brand new free to use product that will change the way ServiceNow developers work forever.
Welcome to Breakpoint, the ServiceNow Developer Podcast.
Hello, ServiceNow admins, builders, developers, and curious individuals that I say with the utmost love and respect. Welcome back to the Breakpoint Podcast, the ServiceNow Developer Podcast, where we bring you all the latest tools, tips, and tradecraft to accelerate your career. My name is Lauren McManaman. I am so excited to be doing the 115th episode today, also with a phenomenal guest. So before we begin, let me introduce today's star, Andrew Barnes. Andrew, it's so nice to see you again. It's been a bit since you've been on Breakpoint. How have you been?
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me on again, Lauren. It has been a while since I have been on the show. I don't remember what episode ago it was, but it was a lot of them ago.
I think it was back in 2022, I think, perhaps.
Could be. And how I'm doing today is I'm doing super exciting because I get to come talk to you about one of my new products.
Oh man, and we are talking about it. Currently, we're doing this recording on the day it's launched. So the hype around this mysterious product that you've definitely already seen in the title of this episode is at an all-time high. But before we dive straight into that, tell us a little about yourself for all the new listeners that we've got here at Breakpoint.
Thank you so much. I'd be happy to introduce myself. I'm Andrew Barnes. I'm a director of product management here at ServiceNow. I manage a team of product managers who build apps for developers in the App Engine business unit. And a little bit about myself is, well, I've been in the ServiceNow ecosystem for 11 years. I've been at two customers as the platform owner and an implementation partner, and I've just passed my 6th year working for ServiceNow. My first job was the same job that you had here at ServiceNow, which was as a developer advocate. And as part of that job, I was able to, own the content around our developer YouTube, the developer blog, and I was even the product manager for the developer website, developer.servicenow.com, which brings you all of those lovely PDIs. And a little more about me is before getting into the ServiceNow ecosystem, I was in higher education for about 20 years, working at a Research One university where I taught computer science and worked on enterprise application services, which is how I got into the ServiceNow arena.
Oh man, you've had the most amazing career, and it's so nice to have you back. It's like a little developer advocate reunion whenever we do, like when you came back from Techno as well. Yeah, so it's nice to always have you back on here. A couple of additional fun questions that we started asking our guests. One thing that we started recently asking people was, do you recall a time in your career where you did something you thought you might get fired for? That might have been a hyperbole of thought, depending on where you were in your career. And also, what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, that's such a fun question to ask. And I actually, when I was thinking about this a little bit earlier, and I'm not sure that it was ever to that level, but the example I've got for you today was I was newly brought into an organization, and I was leading the ServiceNow platform. And one of the rules that I instituted once I got there that, what needed to be instituted was that to have admin access to a ServiceNow instance, you had to have your CSA certification and a reason. And so the scenario that I found myself in where I got a little nervous was I did a review after we instated that rule to check to see if we were following it. And we weren't. And I removed my boss's access from ServiceNow. So I removed their admin access because they didn't have a need nor the CSA cert. And so they called me in and said, hey, I don't have access anymore. I can't see all the things. What happened? And so I had to tell them that I'd removed their access. And the conversation went well. But the thing I learned and the takeaway there was that I should have communicated that I had done so and why versus just doing it. So that, it wasn't that it was wrong to do it. It was just that communication is very important, and having someone, especially your boss, be surprised by an action you took isn't the greatest scenario. So let them know if, ahead of getting a surprise. So you tell
Absolutely.
them instead of them discovering it themselves.
That's a great one because usually the ones that we get have to do with like maybe doing something on prod and it not going well, or something around like data security of like, oh, like I meant to delete one thing and I deleted like 100,000 things. That's the first one I think that we've gotten that is more of like a corporate faux pas per se. And like you said, you didn't even do anything wrong, but communication is a
But I could
huge,
have done
huge
it
part.
better.
Yes, that's a good lesson to learn. That's fantastic. And also, finally, outside of ServiceNow, what do you enjoy doing? What do you do outside of the role that you have here?
Oh, thank you for that question. So, what I do outside of ServiceNow is I have a variety of interests. One of them is I like to play PC games. So, I enjoy playing games on my computer. I love reading. I've recently started transition from reading directly to doing audiobooks, and I've even started a new genre, a style of writing called lit RPG. So
I've
I
heard of
used to
those. I've heard
I
of those.
used oh really? That's
Describe what
awesome.
they are though, because they are kind of like a newer in vogue thing.
They are. And so I used to play MMORPGs, so role playing games. But, as more responsibilities and life just moves on, you don't necessarily have all the time to like play a game 6 hours a day. And instead, what I can do is I can listen to the audiobook, which scratches that itch of the progression. So it's a role playing style of writing. It doesn't necessarily have to be even fantasy. Most of them right now are, but there's even rom com RPGs. And so it's adding a system, a role playing, leveling up system into your whatever your other genre is. That is what lit RPG is. So it's more like a style of writing than a genre itself. And I just love it so much, and I can use Audible when I'm doing other tasks around the house and getting things done. So it's been a lot of fun. And the other things I like to do outside of work is sailing and skating.
As your portrait behind you in the video version of this podcast suggests.
A little subtle hint behind me with the sailboats.
Which type of skating? Roller,
Roller
figure?
skating.
I know that. I'm saying that because I know that because you gave me some criticism from my form from the keynote, and
You
you go, "Oh,
know,
I
it
can't believe you used your toe stop to
it was
stop."
actually really great that you were able to, be highlighted on the keynote that way, and in our Xanadu launch video. And it was just a little fun, joshing with you. That
No, I know.
yeah, using the I don't have stoppers on my skates because I
Because you're
don't
better
use
than
them.
me. That's okay. I used to be a figure skater, so I'm always off of like the toe pick element of figure skating. Oh, back to the
Whenever
book
you say
question.
toe pick, I
Mm,
think of the movie Cutting Edge or something
cutting
like that, which was
edge.
a hockey movie. Yeah, toe
Yep.
pick.
Well, it's funny because in that movie, it's a romance between a figure skater and a hockey player, and all of us figure skaters are like, this would never happen because there has never been a hatred stronger than the figure skating community and the ice hockey community because you fight over ice time. Ice time is so limited, especially when you're a child and have to go to school, or an adult and have to go to work. And so there's like 3 hours that you're fighting for, and they would pile up ice from their like harsh stops that we would trip over. And similarly, when we would dig our toe picks in for jumps, they would like get hurt. So it was just like this mutual animosity.
But also, strong emotions can turn into
That's
other
true.
strong emotions.
That's true.
So
It's not
that
it's not apathy. It's not apathy.
it's not apathy. You have a strong response, and that can turn into other things.
True. Back to your book suggestions though. Do you happen to have any lit RPGs suggestions for the audience that people might just be hearing about it?
Absolutely, I have one right off the top of my head. It is called "He Who Fights with Monsters," and the author's name is Shirtaloon.
Ooh.
And it's a series of about 12 books right now that are
12.
already out.
Oh dang.
And yeah, and it's great, and they're available in Audible and and Kindle and other places like that. But the really great thing about those kinds of books is they sort of grew up in this area of the internet of releasing chapters every day or every couple of days online for their readers to read. And so they use a site called Royal Road,
Mm.
and they release their content free there first. And then when they get enough and they get a book deal, they, publish the books, but they're still releasing new chapters for their new books every day or every couple of days on Royal Road, and you can read and give them feedback, and they incorporate it. So I went to the Dragon Con recently
Yeah.
and got to meet Shirtaloon and other lit RPG authors, and they talked about how they loved hearing from their readers, especially their early access readers,
Yeah.
and they incorporate and they help them be keep their timelines better, and like it's a great community over there, like our ServiceNow community, but a whole different community, because people get connected through things like this and share and help each other.
Amazing. And also what an interesting opportunity to get like instant feedback on the content too, to release it like to some limited audience first and then see their opinions, and you could always change it too. If it was like, that was a stinker, maybe pivot to something else. Well, that's awesome. I've also heard of Dungeon Crawler Carl or Dungeon Master Carl or something like that. I have not read it
Dungeon Crawler
myself.
Carl is the most popular one, and it is
Okay.
it is a lot of fun and really good. And that he just got his book deal for hardback and is on
Ooh.
shelves in actual bookstores
Ah,
now. So he got once you get hardbacks, you can be in the stores directly, the physical copies.
nice. Man, so many good recommendations. I can't wait to try some of this out. I'm just kind of clearing out my Kindle roster at the moment. So that's kind of the next on the list. Well, let's jump into today's content, shall we? Because I'm very, very excited about what we're talking to, which again, we've revealed it by the title if you've clicked on this link already. It's ServiceNow Studio. So we are recording this on November 7th, which is the official launch day of ServiceNow Studio. And I am jazzed. This is one of the biggest highlights from the Tech Now podcast, excuse me, the Tech Now webinar that we did, which feels like forever ago. But because this was coming out in the big store release too, we had a little bit of waiting time. So it was all this inertia building up, and it's here. So let's start off with a nice, easy softball. What is Studio? Because I know this is kind of a meme now at this point. There's a lot of studios in general on the platform. So what is this one, and how does it differ from the others?
Well, you even said it, is there has been a proliferation of studios in ServiceNow. And so ServiceNow Studio is actually the solution to that. So we are the new developer experience, unified developer experience, and are going to be consolidating all of our studios down into ServiceNow Studio. So it is the one-stop shop for regular ServiceNow developers to do their development. And so the intent there is that if you're doing development on ServiceNow, that you can use ServiceNow Studio and not have to leave ServiceNow Studio while you're doing active development. So anything that you're going to be doing while actively developing should be present in this developer-centric, built from the ground up place and experience for them.
Got you. Now, there is a more of a legacy product that's kind of similar to that, albeit it doesn't have the wizard style of designers that things like App Engine Studio have moved towards. And it is currently called Studio. So, moving forward, how should we be kind of classifying the now legacy studio in this one, or how should we kind of referring to those as?
Absolutely. So yes, there are a lot of names, and so the official name for that older one, which came out in Geneva, is called Legacy Studio now, and will be actually we'll stop allowing customers to install that sometime next year. Um, so it is going to go away because it has been fully replaced with Feature Parity Plus in the new ServiceNow Studio.
Very exciting. I'm so pumped. But obviously, I'm not on the product development team. I'm kind of a bit of an outsider looking into this as always. And it seems to be that we are targeting the same type of developer for the new studio as we were for App Engine Studio, because of course we have Creator Studio, which is the really no code experience of like, I just want to create a automation tied to some sort of catalog-esque request. And now we've got the real pro coder experience, like the IDE, right? Where I just want to write code. I do not show me a wizard, God forbid, right? So it's kind of now this weird spot where Studio or AES, is there a plan for these two products to exist side by side? If not, why not revamp AES? Like, what's kind of the design behind this now discrepancy?
Excellent question. So App Engine Studio was intended to serve both the more distributed developer or citizen developer type and ServiceNow, regular ServiceNow developers. And it didn't quite serve either of those sides as well as it could have. And so we made an intentional decision to separate out those three experiences. So App Engine Studio and Legacy Studio, sort of covered, some of the spectrums of our existing developers, but didn't really cover all of the things that they needed. And could we have, extended AES to service our more regular ServiceNow developers? Yes, but instead we intentionally crafted Creator Studio and ServiceNow Studio to separate those two personas and make it really clear and distinct. And so that users weren't going to get confused. Well, I was using AES. Do I go to Creator Studio or do I go to ServiceNow Studio or do I use all three? And we want the goal is that App Engine Studio itself will no longer be a product that is enhanced, and we will work on retiring that one as well. And so really you can focus in on the type of developer you are as to which of the three experiences in our unified developer shell. So what you might not know is the Studio IDE, ServiceNow Studio, and Creator Studio are all using the same unified developer shell. Mm-hmm. And this leads me into something that I will share early for you, is you'll be able to switch between those three experiences depending on your user role and permissions early next year.
Woo! Is this a Breakpoint exclusive? I hope so.
It is a Breakpoint exclusive.
That is so fascinating. Oh my gosh. Okay, so maybe that makes sense. So when I was on our sales team, for example, I was an SC or a solution consultant for Creator workflows. And so I was there when AES came out, and it had this goal of kind of being the one size fits all for everybody, but be low code. And there was consistent feedback that we got from customers. Either it was not low code enough or it was not ServiceNow developer-y enough. So it makes sense logically to kind of, divide and conquer, right? Make one a true no-code solution that doesn't need the logical leap of learning all of these ServiceNow specific developer terms, or the person that's like, hey, I want to be a ServiceNow developer. I'm willing to learn the terms. I'm willing to learn the paradigms in which applications are built on ServiceNow. Give me the leverage to do that and facilitate that easily. That makes more sense to separate them than to kind of, like you said, just kind of patchwork it to kind of fit the needs of both, but not really.
Right. And so that's, like I said, that's the goal of these three different experiences. Mm-hmm. Is depending on your user, you could actually use all three. So some users will want to switch between all three, and some users will only experience ServiceNow Studio as Creator Studio because they may be a citizen developer and they don't need those extra metadata types and the less curated experience. They need the curated experience, but some users will have both the curated experience in the Creator Studio and also leverage, things from Studio IDE when it's appropriate for them. And we're letting them choose which of those experiences is right for them. But we want the experiences themselves to really target those individual personas and needs when you're in that mode.
Yes. And also I feel like the swapping between those will be very common, or at least for developers like me, where on certain types I really like having a wizard. It makes no sense to do it the hard way and make it codable. On the other hand, though, sometimes I'm like, just let me write the 6 lines and just do it that way. So the flip between Studio and the IDE, I think, will be a very common flip, or at least in my opinion, that seems like
We
that'll be.
think so as well. And we're excited for customers to get access to it. So to get access, you need to be on Xanadu Patch 3
Mhm.
and get it from the store. It is a free uh, product. So once you're on Xanadu Patch 3, you go to your plugin list and you can install it right from there.
That is the best part of this too, is that it's so easy for everyone to get their hands on. So it's not like when we were trying to plug RPA or even the AI stuff, which is still a little bit hard for people to get their hands on. This is literally the easiest thing possible. So make sure you're on Xanadu Patch 3, go into the ServiceNow store, and it is a store-based application. Aside from this, I kind of teased at hearing about comments on AES. I know it's not really out yet at the time of recording this podcast. However, obviously you've tested this with certain customers or certain user groups. What are they loving? What feedback are y'all getting that you maybe added to the Yokohama backlog, for example? I'm very fascinated to see what customers or those test groups are thinking of this.
Yeah, so you and others, including myself, were able to showcase this at Knowledge 14, some of our early builds. And then most recently at CreatorCon India, we're able to show them almost exactly the build that we released today and get feedback from about 800 developers from the CreatorCon India events. So that was really exciting. And then we've also got design partner customers who work with us with early access builds, so we give them the early build in their instances and let them give feedback. And the feedback that we've gotten on ServiceNow Studio is just makes me feel so happy and delighted because the what I've heard from them, like some of the key things that it really helps them with, and that they're really excited to get their hands on, is you don't have to tell me which scope you want to be in. So the scope picker is almost a thing of the past. When you open an object, you're able to edit that object without switching your scope, which is a thing that has frustrated a lot of our developers for a long time and is the key, like it's the biggest key thing that we're delivering here in the Xanadu release, is that able to work in multiple scopes without having to do any extra steps. You open a metadata object, you're allowed to edit, you can edit it right off the bat without you having to do anything else. No page loads, no scope picking. So that's really resonated with our audience. The other thing is just the fact that this experience is intentionally designed from the ground up for developers. So the platform view is great, but it wasn't just designed for developers. So this experience is specifically for developers. And so we're able to do things that are just for our personas, and we don't have to worry about other personas. So some of the features like keyboard shortcuts and things that our developers have had to use plugins and things in the past to get advantage of, that's also resonating with them, that this is for them, and then therefore the experience is just more of a developer experience, and we're able to control that more granularly. And then the last thing is consistency for update sets. So the ability in ServiceNow Studio is that we keep the update sets synchronized all the time. So you'll never see an update set, a choice on the screen that's inaccurate, which with multiple browser tabs in the past and platform, it was very easy for it to look like it's on the right one, but it's not actually the right one because it's not reflecting reality. So those three key things have really resonated with our early access customers.
Well, what I'm already loving about this too is that it's correcting not necessarily missteps, but assumptions that we as a company assumed that people were doing as developers, like, oh, everyone's just going to use the deploy application, like the versioning that we created with our own pipelines. No one's going to use update sets moving forward. False. And so I love how we're going, okay, like we're hearing our customers, like update sets are a massive part of like the majority of development shops. So you've built that more seamlessly into Studio. Like I love seeing stuff like that because it does show too, it is worth making comments as a ServiceNow community member. And that's something that I always want people to take away from listening to this podcast and getting the chance to hear from the product team directly is how much y'all listen. It's not like that at every software development company. And so if you have feedback about Studio, I highly encourage y'all to talk about it on LinkedIn, talk about it on the community site, because you never know who's listening. There's a high chance it's probably someone like Andrew or at least someone on Andrew's team, you know?
Oh, that's so great that you're sharing that with your audience, and I appreciate it. And yes, we do listen, and I specifically, having been a champion for our developer community and continue to champion our developer community, I absolutely want to hear from you. Let me know what's good. Let me know what could be improved, and let me know what's bad. Like we would love to hear from you because this is a tool made for developers. So the amount of compromises that we have to make is smaller because if developers want it, we can do it. If that's then it's just a prioritization decision, not a compromise of more than one group is using an experience, which is a nice place to be in.
Yeah. Selfishly speaking, what's your favorite part of ServiceNow Studio? What do you go to bed thinking like, hot damn, like we really did that?
Oh, for me, it's the scope editing. Like
I was
the
about to
fact
say
that I can
that's
open a metadata object and edit a metadata object. That is a key feature for me, and it's one thing that. So I've only been on this product team directly for about 4 months, but I contributed highly to the prioritization and feedback from our customers to this team as they were crafting their roadmap. And this was my number one thing that I kept pushing with them. And kept bringing them customer feedback comments and saying, this will really solve problems for customers and improve their development. Because, like you said, in the past, we've made some assumptions, like with Legacy Studio, that you'll be working in a single app-centric mode at a time. And that's not really how it is, evolved over time with scopes. So when I was a developer, I would pick up a story for a security incident response. And a single story would be 4 or 5 scopes because that's the way that application suite is crafted. It is a multi-scope effort to make changes there. And so that is how they're working. And so that's how we should present their work experience.
Yeah. If I had nickel for every time I saw that pop up, that's like, you're trying to edit this out of scope. You edited it. I'm like, oh my God,
it's
I get
nearly
it.
every time.
Yes, it's nearly every time. Also, too, with Scope Picker, that got a nice little update in Xanadu as well, is that you can now select favorite scopes to add to the top of your list. So there would be times where I'm like, I know our company has like 90 scopes. I work in 4 of them. So why do I have to scroll throughout the entire list? So just know that you can now favorite your scopes and kind of keep them at the top, which is also kind of helpful as well.
When you get ServiceNow Studio, you can favorite or bookmark your apps. And you don't need a scope picker, but you can favorite your app and then launch that app and the navigator for that app and see the app files in there and open them fast and easy from that experience.
Man, I'm loving this more and more. That's so exciting. Well, as an ambassador of sorts to the developer community, I would be flogged if I didn't ask this question, which I know you know it's coming. Is there any chance this is coming to PDIs?
Absolutely. It will be coming to the personal developer instances. So they're actively working right now on getting the Xanadu patch 3 prepared for their personal developer instances. It takes a little longer for that infrastructure to be ready for those instances. But later, hopefully by the time this podcast airs, it will be available in the instances.
I hope I can make that the short clip from this and just show, oh, it's available now. That'd be real nice. Well, if anything, y'all got to beat the IDE boys because they said their theft's coming out around Christmas. So now that the race this is like the next Cold War space race.
We're going to win.
You got to beat them. I love that. So that's fantastic. Hey, I'm 2 for 2, guys. That's fantastic news on my part. I don't have to break any hearts on this podcast. How nice. Now, obviously, like I said, we're recording this in November. We are months away from Knowledge. So if you don't have concrete details, I understand. But again, I'd like to ask, just while people are perhaps getting, ready to do things at Knowledge or book things for Knowledge, is there any upcoming content that you're creating around Studio for Knowledge 25?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking that. So this will be my 12th Knowledge in a
Woo!
row, and I always love presenting at Knowledge. This will be my 11th time presenting at Knowledge.
Damn.
And so my team has got 3 sessions, and one of them has got such a fun name, I think, which is, it's a little reference to a movie, which is Scopes. Where we're going, we don't need scopes.
That's very cute. That's very cute.
So yes, we'll be presenting sessions. So we'll show our roadmap at Knowledge. We'll show you our new innovations for Yokohama, which will be the main version for Knowledge 25. Those will be the key things. But the other awesome thing for Knowledge 25 is what you'll see is that it will be part of lots of presentations and sessions, because nearly when anyone is showing off ServiceNow development at Knowledge 25, they'll be doing so from inside ServiceNow Studio.
Yeah, hell, it's part of one of mine. It's part of the Builder Track one as well. So you're not running away from it at all in any content. In fact, it'll be a problem of I need to get away from Studio at Knowledge 25. Ideally. Well, I feel it's kind of selfish asking this question because you kind of already tipped me off. I've started asking the product developers as my last question, do you have a mic drop moment? Do you have a piece of news, a little tidbit you'd like to give me to kind of make a Breakpoint exclusive? But you already gave me one. But so selfishly,
I've always got more things.
You got more?
Sure. We'll give you another Breakpoint exclusive, which is that starting in Yokohama. So when you upgrade to Yokohama, you'll have ServiceNow Studio installed already. So it'll be there by default for any Yokohama and future instances, and you won't have to do anything to get access to ServiceNow Studio starting as soon as January when you upgrade to Yokohama and forward. So that's like an easy, free gimme I'm going to give you. The more future-looking thing is I've got some update set automation that's coming late next year. That's going to be super exciting for developers.
What type of automation?
Making it so you don't have to care about update sets very much anymore.
Oh goodness, that'd be great because God knows I could never get them right when I was using them. This is awesome. You've given me three exclusives. You are my hero today, Mr. Andrew Barnes. Now, we're kind of closing things up here. I could not be more excited about Studio. Again, I hope the audience is just a fraction as excited as I am, given the fact that also by now it's out and they can start using it today, as long as they're on Xandu Patch 3. But if they have any questions or if they'd like to kind of follow up with you about this, where can they find you?
So they can reach me. The easiest and best place is LinkedIn or the ServiceNow Developer Slack. I'm in both of those places pretty often.
And that is the SN Dev Slack. If you aren't already a member, it's a fantastic place. Lots of great sub-communities there to interact with the community, the big community C as a whole. Also, obviously, Breakpoint's great for chit-chatting philosophically about products, but if you want to see Studio live, if you haven't already, please check out the Creator Toolbox episode that Andrew already filmed on the 19th, starring ServiceNow Studio and that product live and in person. So if you'd like to add some visual flavor to all of this nice chatter, please make sure to check that out and give it a like if you enjoy the video as well. Andrew,
That'd be great.
I cannot thank you enough for joining us here today. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And if anything, it's always a pleasure to hang out with you. And
it's been super fun.
And thank you, wonderful listener, as well, for joining us today. Don't forget to check out the other ServiceNow podcasts. They are kind of found, oddly enough, at servicenow.com/community under events. I know it doesn't make sense to me either, but they're under events. Subscribe to this podcast for free wherever podcasts can be found, whether that's Spotify or Apple Music, or perhaps follow us on our YouTube channel at ServiceNow Dev Program. And click subscribe there for a phenomenal amount of content aside from Breakpoint. Breakpoint is brought to you by ServiceNow with executive producer me, Laura McManaman. To find out more about the developer program in general, head to developer.servicenow.com. Again, thank you. Stay hungry, stay humble, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Please let us know what you think about this podcast. You can leave feedback or ask questions in the ServiceNow community. For more great information on ServiceNow development, check out the ServiceNow Developer Portal at developer.servicenow.com. Thanks for listening.
And I like this camera, how it follows me around until it goes rogue and then starts like drifting. And then I have to like,
you got to make a movement so it comes back to you.
Yes. So if you ever see me like doing, making it follow me around, that's the intent.